Welcome back, my dear children. Today I'm here with the second part of your chapter 4 of your history chapter, the Mughal Empire. So, in this chapter, I will be talking about Akbar, his religious policies, and so many other interesting facts. So, in my first slide, I am sharing with you all his religion and his religious policies. The first policy was the policy of Sulekul. Sulekul, or we can call it as universal peace. It is a reason that why he believed in universal peace that I am going to share in the next slide. Then he was the one who founded Deen-e-Ilahi, believe in one God, and he was considered as a God's representative on earth. Next, his policy was the Rajputs policy. What he did, he treated all the Rajputs with great respect, and he also did not annex their kingdoms. And also, Akbar and his whole empire share a very good relation with the Rajputs. And with this, all of them used to pay regular tributes and taxes to his empire. Next was the social reform. He did a lot of work for the society, for the reformation of the society. Like, he stopped the practice of sati. He legalized, he made legal what? The widow remarriage. He discouraged child marriage. And he also 14 years for girls and 16 years for boys. So let's have a closer look over the Akbar's policy. Now Akbar's courtier, whose name was Abul Fazl, he wrote 2 books describing about Akbar and his total administration. One was the Akbarnama and second was the Aane-Akbari. In these 2 books, he describes that the total empire of Akbar was divided into subhas, who was governed by a subedar. And this subedar used to carry out military plus administrative functions. Now, each province had different set of people. One was Diwan, second was Bakshi, third was Sadr, fourth was Faujdars, and the fifth one was Kotwals. Diwan means the financial officer who takes care of all the finances. Bakshis means military paymasters. So they have to see everything related to the military. Sadr means the ministers who have to take care of the religion plus the charity. Faujdar means military commanders, and Kotwals means town policemen. Now what happened? In 1570, Akbar started having huge discussions about the religion in the Ibadat Khana at Fatehpur Sikri, where he invited large number of religious people, very experienced and learned religious people who used to belong from every sect of society, every religion of society, be it from Brahmins, from Catholic priests and Zoroastrian priests, etc. Now you must have a question that what is Ibadat Khana? Ibadat Khana was, in ancient times, Ibadat Khana was a place where, these Muslims and Mughals used to conduct meetings and discussions. Now, when he was interacting with different religions of people, of different faiths, he realized one thing. What he realized, that every single religious person has a different idea about one and the another religion. For him, his religion is much superior than the other religion. So what happened? This automatically led Akbar to follow the idea of Sulh-e-Kul or universal peace. Rather than focusing on his own religion, he started focusing on universal peace, whom we call as Sulh-e-Kul, and his tolerance towards all the religion. And this is known as his Akbar's religious tolerance. I hope you are clear with this concept till now. Now, there is a picture showing Akbar's religious policy, that he was a great ruler who believes in giving rather than taking. Next is what happened in the 16th century with the Mughals. Now let's see. In the 17th century, Mansabdars became very powerful. And with the power, corruption came. They became huge corrupted under the rule of later Mughal rulers. Now, Mughals and their Mansabdars, what they used to do? They started spending a lot of amount on the salaries and goods which benefited the artisans and peasantry. But there was one fact, that is that the large scale of revenue that used to be collected, it left very little for savings, in terms of savings, because salaries, much of the amount was utilized for payment of salaries to peasants and artisans, so savings were not that much. So as the Mughals started declining, their servants so slowly emerged as center of power and money. Because the power of Mughal got weakened, so the servants and the subordinates took this advantage and they started ruling independently. They started gaining the power and money as well, because now they did not listen to the policies of the Mughals by this time. So one of the example is they created new provinces like Hyderabad and Awadh, and in theory they still considered the king in Delhi as their master and emperor. Next is, in this slide I'm going to share with you all some of the interesting facts about the chapter. 1. Aurangzeb spent more than 20 years of his life fighting major minor rebellions throughout his Mughal empire. Second, Jahangir was the one and the first who started a relationship of trade with the East India Company. Next, Aurangzeb was the one who killed his brother and imprisoned his father to take the throne. His father was Shah Jahan. And what he did, he cut the head of his brother and kept it in a box, and then he took that box to show it to his father Shah Jahan. The most famous monument of Mughal architect is the Taj Mahal, and it was built in the 17th century by Shah Jahan. Why? In memory of his wife Mumtaz Mahal. Then Babur's tomb was first erected where he was buried, in a garden which faces the spot where the Taj Mahal was built. I hope that many of you have visited Taj Mahal, so you must know it in a much better way. But it was later moved to a garden on a hillside in Kabul. Akbar became the emperor when he was 13 years of age, and Babur was born on 14th Feb, that is Valentine's Day. You can remember, that is why this point is added. Now, date lines. These are the few dates that you need to remember if you would like. It can help you in future. Like in 1227, Genghis Khan died. 1404, Taimur died. 1494, Babur gets the throne of Fergana. Then 1504, Babur seized Kabul. 1526, Babur defeated Ibrahim Lodi, the Sultan of Delhi, and in 1527 he defeated Rajput rulers named Rana Sanga. In 1528, Babur defeated the Rajputs at Chanderi. 1539, Sher Khan defeated Humayun at Chausa. In 1540, Sher Khan defeated Humayun at Kannauj. In 1555, Humayun recaptured Delhi. In 1568, Akbar seized Chittor. In 1569, Akbar seized Ranthambore. And between 1570 to 85, military campaigns in Gujarat, followed by campaigns in the east in Bihar, Bengal and Orissa by Akbar. So I hope that you people understand this chapter very well. Go through this presentation once again, and if you have any doubt, please feel free to ask. Thank you so much. Next time we'll start with the question answers and the worksheet. Thank you.